Hello, friends, and we are back here at the Plague Eldritch Anecdotes. I am your guide, Ariana, and this is episode 22. Yay! I know I was gonna promise you guys a good juicy one, but I, before, hold on, get this pillow off my butt. I did not have plenty of time to finish fully editing some stuff for the juicy story. So I apologize. It'll be next episode. One day I'll get my life together here for you guys. But in the meantime, I just got back from Chicago from being in my best friend's wedding, and it was really fun. It was the second time I've gone out there with my husband, and it was a blast. And hanging out with the family and the friends and everything was really cool. And then going to around the city and everything and doing all the little events was super super fun. Saturday was like their combined bachelorette party, and we did like brunch and a White Sox game, and we had dinner in Chinatown, and we did a cigar lounge, which was also bring your own bottles. So we were just like partying it up in the cigar lounge. And then the next day we had the dinner rehearsal. So before the dinner rehearsal, I know they had a few things planned if people wanted to meet up, but my husband and I, we decided to kind of like venture out on our own for a little bit. And then we went to the dinner rehearsal. I was my best friend's maid of honor, so I was in there helping out behind the scenes. And then Monday was the wedding, and man, busy day, crazy busy day, but it was a good day overall. And then Tuesday was a free day, so my husband and I explored the city a lot more. And instead of taking Ubers around, we walked. We walked like the whole day, and it was pure chaos. My legs, they're like built out of steel by now because of all the walking that we did. I ended up getting some blisters on my feet by the time we got back home. But it was really fun, and we got to go swimming in Lake Michigan and everything too. So, yeah, overall, that was a fun vacation. Um, we did go to across the street from my best friend's hotel for her wedding. There was like this huge, huge cemetery. So we were going to go exploring in it some, but between time and walking, um, and being hungry, and it was humid and it was hot. Coming from the desert, it was hot with the humidity. Um, we didn't end up going back, but we did kind of like the night before the wedding, we did kind of like linger on the fence and like was putting ourselves over the fence and through the fence and getting some good stuff, hoping to capture some orbs or something, but we didn't get anything. I recorded some sessions on my phone and I got nothing. So, but I'll play some pictures here for you guys. I think that the headstones on the graves are like they're so beautiful. Like compared to the cemeteries out here, that is art. I don't know why we don't have any of that here. It's very interesting how different cemeteries are on the East Coast than they are on the West Coast. So, I don't know. But yeah, it was really cool, and we do plan on going back. Um, I don't know when, but we do plan on going back. And then if we do go back, we're for sure gonna go back to that cemetery. But on our free day, yeah, we went swimming in the lake and we went to the zoo. Um, ate at some good restaurants, and yeah, explored the neighborhoods more than the city that time because we were really into like the architecture of some of the buildings. Some people had like castles as their houses, but they're all like attached. It's Sesame Street vibes, kind of like attached kind of townhomes and stuff. So never been, go. I definitely do recommend going to Chicago at least once. It is a little pricey, so you definitely have to save up for it. But to end the night on Tuesday, we did a boat tour, which took us all the way out onto Lake Michigan and took us like up and down the city skyline, and we got some really good pictures of that and the pier and everything. So yeah, that was that. Um, as far as school goes, I don't recall if I told you guys, but I did not get picked. So I'm a little bummed out. I'm a little upset. It was definitely my fault, but I did not get picked. Um, aside from me doing one little screw up, it sounded like I was fourth in line to get picked if no one was to, if some people weren't to accept, because remember there was only 12 seats, which is ridiculous to me. There should be more seats because obviously it's a career that people want to be in. But I digress. Um, but yeah, even if I hadn't put a little bump in the road for myself, I was still pushed back on the list. So it sounds like most of the people who are already in the field and working in the funeral homes and stuff, congratulations if you ever stumble upon my podcast. I am rooting for you guys, um, and I hope everything works out and it is something you continue to want to do. So in the meantime, I am kind of on standby with school. I have to wait to talk to an advisor and see if it's worth waiting until next go round, which would be next spring, to apply again, or to shift career fields, which I truly do not want to do. But if I do, I was going to do practical nursing, but I think I'm going to just shift into some sort of like um, forensics, still kind of like morgue forensics field. Um, so I'm also waiting for some information from a few people that I know who know people in that field too. So I'm working on it, figuring out life. And so, yeah, life is life in right now. Since I'm on kind of like a school hiatus, it gives me time to save up. And I think at this time, as much as I don't want to, because it's really gonna bunch up my schedule, especially with the kids. Um, I'm going to try and go back to work full time. Um, save up some monies because just it's the end of the year stuff, birthdays, holidays. At the same time, I'm trying to save up. I think I'm also going to go ahead and save up to get my funeral arranger's license through the state, so I can at least start that. By the time next spring comes up. If you saw my TikTok rant, I also said that there was a life update and I was going to an appointment. So I had an appointment Friday, last Friday, and um, it was to get some plastic surgery, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So I have to save up for that as well. If you really want to know, I will put more information about that, but I will just say it's plastic surgery. Your minds can picture that if you'd like. You can go to my TikTok and see what that's all about. So yeah, um, that's really it. That's the tea on life right now. Just to catch you guys up from the last 2 weeks. That's really it. I have. By the time you're watching this, um, it would have been the Simple Plan 303 concert that I would just pass by, and one of my middle school best friends. He's coming out to go with me to that concert too, so it'll be a blast. So everything's good. Everything's peachy. We're just living life. Okay. All right. I don't believe it was last episode, but maybe, or the episode before. But I do remember talking to you guys moving forward about um the beds, the ends of the beds facing doors. Uh, I just wanted to recap on that as well, and that some people will refer to it as coffin position or dead man's position. Um, the reason you don't face the end of your bed towards a door is because it kind of ruins the vibe. It ruins the feng shui in your room. And a lot of people and a lot of different cultures, they are superstitious about it, and they think that that brings bad energy, bad luck, bad entities. So I do remember bringing that up as well. So with that, we're going to go ahead and dive into our stories. We have 3 today. Nothing super long because I'm already blabbing your guys' ears off for the last 10 minutes. All from Reddit. And yeah, I mean, they're not long, but they're long. So this episode is not going to be um, overwhelming. But next episode, I promise to give you guys the juices, okay? I will give you the juices. And we're going to leave it at that. So, first story, let's do it. All right. So, like I said, they're all from Reddit. This one is from r slash ghost stories, posted 17 days ago from KG Rolex, titled, My Grandfather Saw His Dead Neighbor Waving at Him. This is a story my grandfather told me from when he was young. It happened in Poland sometime in the 1960s or 70s. His family lived on a farm in the middle of nowhere. To get there, you had to leave the main road, drive a few kilometers on a smaller road, then turn again and continue for several more kilometers on a dirt road through the fields. For that time, especially under communism, his family had quite a lot of land to work. About 200 meters away from their house was the farm of their closest neighbors. Because the area was so remote, the two families had a very warm and friendly relationship. Everyone knew each other, people visited often, and they would regularly meet while working in the fields. I do not know the exact time of year, but it was during harvest season because my grandfather was working a lot on the fields back then. At that time, hardly anyone had a tractor or proper means of transport, but somewhere in the village there was a Soviet van, a bukanka, I might be saying that wrong, I'm sorry. Sometimes the driver would give my father a ride to the village or back from the fields. One evening, my father was dropped off near the farms. I do not know if he had been in the village or if someone had picked him up from the fields, but when he got out of the van, he saw his neighbor standing by the gate, waving at him. It was already evening, and my grandfather thought the neighbor wanted him to come over for a drink, a cigarette, or just to talk for a while. That was not unusual between the two households. So my grandfather started walking toward the gate. But when he got closer, he could not see anyone anymore. He thought maybe the neighbor had gone into the garden or was waiting for him in the courtyard. When he arrived, he looked around, but nobody was there. Then he noticed a body lying near the gate. It was his neighbor. At first, my grandfather thought maybe he had collapsed or suddenly felt ill. After all, he had just seen him standing there and waving only moments before. But when he tried to move the body, he immediately felt how cold it was. He realized the man had already been dead for some time. There was nobody in the house, and there was no phone nearby, so my grandfather had to call for help. Eventually, when medical help arrived, they confirmed that the neighbor was dead, and as far as I know, they assumed it had been a heart attack. The strangest part is that my grandfather was absolutely sure he had seen the neighbor standing at the gate waving at him, but by the time he reached him, the man was already dead and cold. My granddad died in 1999, so unfortunately I can't ask him for the details anymore. He had some interesting stories that I remember well, so if anyone's interested, I can share them here. And I do follow OP, so um, any other little stories OP posts, I will know about. Um, some of it I haven't really seen. I mean, they're very active, but um, some of it is just like sharing posts. But there's one other story from OP that he posted at the same amount of time. This one's a little bit longer, but let's go back to the other one first before we dive into that one. Very interesting that Granddad saw the neighbor waving. The only question I would really have for OP's granddad is, did medical personnel give an approximate time of how long the neighbor's been passed? You know what I mean? Because if he was cold, it could have been a day or a couple hours at least. Well, not a couple hours, but a few hours, several hours, and then up to like a day and longer. Um, Another thing too is if these were the closest neighbors, where was the rest of the family? Weren't they concerned that the neighbor was not home at a certain time? I'm not sure. I have many questions on this one, but we won't get no answers because their granddad died. So, um, but I really liked this one because it was interesting that OP's granddad saw the neighbor wave and then realized that they weren't out there anymore and went looking for them, but found them in the exact spot that they were waving from. So maybe OP's granddad's neighbor was just waving to flag him down, to be like, hey, you know, over here by the gate. But yeah, it was. This one's really quick. There's not really much to it. But a couple people in the comments do agree with me about feeling that the neighbor wanted someone to find him, so he wouldn't be on the ground too much longer, so he could rest easy. Um, some people are also part Polish, and they've had experiences like that in their family as well. Interesting, huh? Right? That they've had experiences like that as well. Um, I don't know too much about Polish history, but maybe I'll dive into it and see what I can find on the paranormal realm on that one. There is another story from OP from their granddad that they know of that they posted. Let me click this real quick. And this one also under r/ghost stories, titled Another Story from My Grandfather, The Figure by the Forest Road. First of all, thank you very much for the positive comments and for the private messages. I never would have thought that my grandfather's ghost stories would have sparked such interest. This is another story from his life, and it happened some years later. By that time, my grandfather was already married. He had left the family farm and moved to a larger town for work. He also bought a motorcycle, which allowed him to visit his family on the farm from time to time. Near the farm, there was a forest. This forest has always felt strange to people from the area. Even when I was a child, long after these events, we hated passing it. There was such a stretch of dirt road that ran alongside it, and whenever we had to go past that place, we would usually hurry or even run because it felt so uncomfortable. I also had a paranormal experience there as a child. If anyone's interested, I'll share it. It's not all that spectacular, though. I didn't see anything from OP on that. The forest also has a dark history. The story known in the area is that during World War II, Soviet soldiers came across a scattered group of German soldiers there while moving west towards Berlin. According to the local story, the Germans were executed in or near that forest. As far as I know, there were never any official excavations or proper graves. There is only a simple cross hanging on a tree. No names, no dates, just a cross. I've never seen the cross myself, so I rang my mom yesterday specifically to ask her about it, and I can assure you it's there. She also said that the local vicar had installed it shortly after the war. Now, now to my grandfather's experience. One weekend, he had ridden back to the farm for some kind of celebration. I don't know if it was a birthday or an anniversary or a village gathering, but it was one of those rural parties where people drank, danced, and celebrated. Late at night, my grandfather got into his motorcycle to ride back to the farm. He had been drinking, but he knew the road very well. Back then, nobody cared about drinking and driving. At one point, the gravel road passed along the edge of the forest. As he was riding there in the dark, He suddenly saw a figure standing by the side of the road. He described it as a person, but something was very wrong. The figure was standing completely still, very straight, stiff, and rigid. The arms were pressed tightly against the sides of the body, not hanging naturally. The head was lowered, as if the chin was touching the chest. It looked like the figure was staring down at the ground. My grandfather said the coat was very clear. It was dark, heavy wool, and the way he described it, it sounded almost like an old military winter coat. But the face was not clear at all. He said he could not recognize any facial features. The head was lowered. The face looked pale, milky, and indistinct, almost blank. And he could tell that the figure was looking down, but he cannot see a mouth, eyes, or any expression. The feet were strange too. He could see the legs, but the feet were barely visible, almost as if they faded near the ground. The figure did not move. It just stood there, at the edge of the forest. My grandfather said he became instantly sober. He accelerated the motorcycle and got away from there as fast as he could. He never forgot that figure. My mother also knew the story and told me these details. I'm not saying this proves anything. He had been drinking. It was dark. Light on the motorcycle was weak. He was riding past the forest with a bad reputation. And maybe it was a trick of the light. Shadow. Maybe it was fear. But what always stayed with me is how specific his description was. The rigid posture, the arms pressed tightly to the body, the lowered head, the dark coat, an unclear face, and the strange feet. Because of the history of that forest, I have always wondered if what he saw was somehow connected to the men who were supposedly killed there during the war. There's no comments on this one, but it's very interesting. I agree, though, with OP. Like, it could have been the trick of the light. It could have been explainable, but, but, the fact that OP's grandfather still had such a detailed description of the figure while drunk, while driving on a motorcycle, is, I would sober up quick too, honestly. Um, it's like something happens to you and that adrenaline rush kicks in. Whatever is happening in that moment does not even matter anymore. So I completely agree. That's a very descriptive list for a figure that's just out of the forest. However, it's just interestingly enough. Say that 8 times fast. I wonder why no one has went to go see where this cross was and if there are any bodies there to clarify the local lore, to make sure that these events are factual. Not saying that they're not, but you would think that somebody at some point, right, between then and now would have done such things just to really like clear the air for everybody. Um, but it's a very interesting lore and that everybody knows it. So I mean, I feel like the more the stories go around, even if subtle things change in this story, there is so much truth behind it. So it is possible that that forest is haunted, and maybe not by uh, what was it, German soldiers who were killed. Let me go back up. I got a mouse, you guys. Woo! So now I don't have to sit here tapping to scroll down and whatnot. Where was I? We're moving there. German soldiers moving towards Berlin. Um, yeah, the Germans were executed right there. So it's interesting. I don't know. That was our first, I guess, 2 stories. I was kind of combining them into one from OP there. We're going to keep moving along. All right, so our next story is also under r/ghost stories, posted 20 days ago for from Troyum, um, titled "Something Terrifying Happened in My Childhood Home That My Entire Family Witnessed. Any explanations?" And before I begin, you guys, I know you got to see Jack earlier climbing behind me. He has become very social. He has finally broken free from. I mean, he still hides under my bed for most of the day, but in the morning around 6 o'clock, he comes out. He eats his breakfast. He goes out into the living room, yells at my mom, and then he'll go under the bed and sleep. And then about 4 o'clock, like he comes out here and there, but about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, he's really like out and about and like just going all over the house doing his thing. But right now he's sitting next to me. He loves me. But anyways, story is called "Something Terrifying Happened in My Childhood Home That My Entire Family Witnessed. Any explanations?" I never really told this story online before because I know it sounds unbelievable, but it's something that happened to my family when I was around 6 years old, and I'm genuinely curious what people think. I grew up in the Netherlands. We moved into a fairly new, modern terraced house when I was about 5 years old. Nothing strange happened at all for around a year and a half. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, things started to happen. The first thing I remember is having a reoccurring dream that someone was standing outside of my bedroom watching me through my bedroom door. My room was in the attic, and outside my room was just a small landing with a washing machine and the family computer. My mom always told me I had an overactive imagination. Then we started noticing that every morning the washing machine door would be open and the clothes would be scattered across the landing. My mom would also hear footsteps coming from the attic during the night, but every time she checked, I would be fast asleep in bed. One night, my mom woke up and found me downstairs, standing in front of the TV, staring at static in what she described as a trance. Looking back, I assumed I must have been sleepwalking. After that, things started to escalate. The footsteps became much louder. My parents said they sounded like someone was running up and down the stairs at night. Doors would begin opening and closing by themselves. The biggest incident happened one night when my parents were both awake in bed. They heard the footsteps again, and then their bedroom door started opening and closing. They immediately ran upstairs, grabbed me from the attic bedroom and my little sister from her room, brought us into their bedroom, and all four of us watched their bedroom door repeatedly swing open and slam shut. The footsteps continued running up and down the stairs. My dad is a very skeptical, practical person who has never believed in ghosts or anything paranormal, but my mom says he's never forgotten that night because it terrified him too. Eventually, eventually, my mom contacted a friend who knew some people interested in the paranormal. They came to the house with what I remember as some sort of triangular device. I was only little, so I don't know exactly what it was. They said that there was a strong energy, particularly in the attic where my bedroom was, and they performed some kind of cleansing ritual. From that day onwards, everything stopped. No more footsteps, no more doors, no more washing machine incidents, nothing. It's now around 25 years later, and none of us have ever experienced anything like that again. So I have a few questions. Has anyone experienced something similar? Is there any logical explanation that could account for all of this, especially multiple people witnessing it? If you believe in the paranormal, why would activity suddenly begin after living in the house for 18 months with nothing beforehand? Does anyone know what the triangular device was used? Might have been. That they used might have been. Sorry. I'm genuinely open-minded. I'm not saying this proves ghosts exist. I know memories can be a little distorted over time, this is how my family remembers it. And the fact is that everything stopped immediately after those people visited, and it's always left me wondering. So, interesting. Someone gives a little spiel underneath too. Kind of like a similar experience. I'm not gonna get into that comment. OP's questions are valid. Yeah, a triangular device. I'm not too sure. OP does not really state how old they currently are and how, like, what year roughly they were 5 or 6 moving into this house in the Netherlands. Um, but yeah, it's interesting that nothing really happened for almost a year and a half to 2 years. And then it started happening, and it kind of seemed like it escalated quite quickly as well. I feel like things, maybe things were happening in that time, and it was just so subtle that they were brushing it off, like subconsciously. Um, like maybe they put a pencil here, and they left for the day, and they came back, and the pencil was like 6 inches to the left or right or something. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, and very interesting that most of the energy and activity was up in the attic, which tells me OP and their family should have done some research on the house. I know it was fairly new and modern, but that does not mean that whatever land it was built upon or around it is not um, affected. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting. I will have to see if I can research the device to see if anything exists like that today in a more modernized way, and then maybe I can find something that's a little older, but without like some sort of posted date in a sort. It's really hard to tell. You know, OP could have been 5 or 6 forever ago, and then I don't know. But I mean, I guess maybe if I did the math, they said it's now around 25 years later. This was posted 20 days ago. Don't mind me, I just can't simple math, you guys. Okay, that makes sense. Um, all right. But I'm still going to look up triangular devices around 25 years ago. Next question is, what was it? Any logical explanation? Multiple people witnessing the same events. You know, some people that I've read in previous stories will always say, like, I can't think of the term right now. It's kind of like where everyone experiences the same thing as a collective, but it's really like nothing. If you know what I'm talking about, in a sense, please put it in the comments below. My brain is just not braining right now. The math isn't mathing, but it is interesting. Someone said that it could have been someone who lived there before you guys and try to make you terrified at some point to get you to move, which that's a possibility. Um, but I also kind of want to know how old the house is actually for being a decently uh, modern terrace house. Let's see. Just some experiences from people in the comments here. But yeah, the rest of those were just experiences. Um, I also want to know who the people were that the mom called. How did mom find them again? Let's see. Contacted a friend who knew some people. So I want to know who those people were that the friend knew and how the friend knew them and what exactly in the paranormal do they dabble in and how do they know how to handle this situation. I mean, it seems like a simple situation, right? Simple haunting, but it's very interesting because I feel like if you think about it, 25 years ago, paranormal activity was known, but not like so deemed and pronounced like it is nowadays. I mean, she's. I don't think anybody really delved into the paranormal as like a full thing until what was it? Besides Ghost Adventures, who's the other one? Ghost Hunters. What was that other show on TV where they like explored the world looking for ghosts, but they never showed anything? I think that's what it was. But I feel like that really kick-started a lot of the paranormal shows and groups and investigators and everything that you see today. Not that it didn't exist then, and not that there were people that weren't taking steps into that, like I know they have like Ed and Lorraine Warren and all of them too, but it just wasn't, I feel like wasn't well known compared to now. So very interesting to know who those people were. But it's crazy to me that on this, OP's mom found them in a trance in front of the TV static. Is no one else getting poltergeist from this? Yeah, like that. I think that's where it was heading. Honestly, that OP was gonna get sucked into some TV or something. Um, but that's when I first read this. That's exactly where my mind went. Interesting that it chose to have OP staring at. Was OP's eyes open? I know they were in a trance, but sometimes, like for me, I know if I remember correctly, I scared my siblings when we used to live in these apartments in Lakewood, in Colorado. And my room at the time, this was when I think my older siblings just left for college. So it was just my other sister, my other brother, and me left in the apartment. And so my room was like more like the one of the longer rooms in the apartment, and then there's the other two rooms. And mind you, this was like when we lived in apartments. It's five kids, my mom and my grandma shoved in three-bedroom apartments. So the 90s, early 2000s were a time. Um, but I do remember. I don't know if someone woke me up or if I woke myself up. My room, and I think I've told you guys that I would have to sleep with the light on because my bedroom door in the apartment, I would close it and I'd go to sleep. But when I wake up in the middle of the night, it would be like completely wide open, and then I would close it, and sometimes I would watch it reopen. Um, but I do remember either waking up or someone woke me up. I don't exactly remember clearly on that, but the bed was on one long side of the wall, and then on the other long side across, we had two brown dressers with like an open space of the wall in between. And I just know that I was sitting in front of this wall talking to it, eyes closed, talking to it. And maybe my grandma woke me up. I think maybe it might have been my grandma. I know somebody in the house, I think, woke me up. Because like, I remember someone coming in and asking who I was talking to. And I said, no one. And I realized that I was sitting on the ground in front of this wall, just talking to the wall, essentially. So I just got back up and I went to bed, did my thing, asked them to close the door. So I think you might have been my grandma at the time. So I'm trying to think, maybe my other sister wasn't living with us just then yet. She might have been just right when she graduated high school. She's a year younger than my older siblings. I mean, she's a year younger than my older siblings. So I might have been right when she pretty much moved out for art school, and it was just me and my brother left. And I think that was it because my mom worked nights and my grandma watched us because my grandma worked while we were in school. That would make more sense. So yeah, so it kind of reminded me of that as well. Um, yeah, the apartments were something else. That a lot of weird things happen at that apartment complex. um, but that's what this reminded me of. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think of this story. What you're feeling. If you've had anything similar to this or know somebody, that'd be cool. Let me know in the comments. But we're gonna keep moving along. On to our last story. Okay, last story from Reddit. I told you guys that this episode wasn't gonna be super long, and here we are, decently into the episode. Um, this one was posted 22 days ago under r/paranormal by Floral Camera. I fear I encountered a skinwalker in my garage, and my cat protected me. I don't know if this is the right sub, but I have so many questions, and I need to get this off my chest. For context, I was poor last year, and I had to move back into my mom's house. I have 2 cats with my partner, and we live in the basement now. My mom also has 2 cats, so there's 4 indoor-outdoor cats walking around this house. One cat is my soul cat. I have literally never connected with any animal the way I do with her. Can relate, I know that. I park on the driveway and I often get home around 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. For the last few months, I feel like something is watching me and following me every single time I park and walk into the garage at night. 4 nights ago, it felt so strong, I kept looking behind me, a little more than I normally do. I was almost to the door in the house when I saw it. It was a fucked up humanoid looking thing on all fours walking in between my mom and sister's cars. I only saw it for a couple seconds, but it was moving towards me, and I froze. I blinked, and it was gone. All of a sudden, my soul cat was on the other side of my mom's car, running towards me and trying to come inside the house. The idea of it being a skinwalker popped in my head, but I genuinely thought I was going schizophrenic. For the last 3 days, I was just thinking I was going crazy. I was crying to my partner last night about how scared I am that I'm losing my mind. He looked up a chupacabra on Google Images and asked me if it looked like that. I did see one photo, and I told him it looked kind of like that, but had nasty skin and was more humanoid. He then searched Skinwalker, and I saw the images and genuinely started sobbing and hyperventilating on the spot because I saw exactly what it looked like. I then spoke to a friend, and he told me about cats being spiritual protectors, and now I'm convinced what I saw was real, and it only went away so fast because my cat came to the rescue. Any insights on what I should do? Does anyone know any more information about cats versus cryptids? I genuinely need I'm genuinely so much more afraid of this thing being real and following me than if I was going crazy. Okay, so OP did share a photo, which was one of the cryptids I shared a while back in an episode or 2 ago. It was a picture of a rake or like a pale face crawler, pretty much. It was the photo of it's like got like the highlighted eyes. I'll put a picture in for you guys. Um, people, people call it a rake, and I know that's kind of a fictional character, but pale face crawler is pretty much what she saw. What she saw, kind of, or he. I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry. I always put genders to these things. I try not to, you guys. What they saw, what OP saw, really sounds like the creature that I told you guys about when I stayed the night at one of my best friend's house when I was younger, and we locked the door, and it came towards the end of the bed. Um, I don't know how much OP saw. Like, I mean, this is a pretty descriptive story about what she saw, but like, I don't know if she saw the whole thing. I don't know if a face was what you calls it seen compared to like me when I only just saw the spine. So yeah, so that's the only difference. Like me, I only saw the spine, and it stopped at the edge of the bed. I didn't see anything else, and then I just saw the back book it out the door, right? So interesting. And I do agree, cats are protectors. A lot of cultures express that, especially Egyptians, um, Middle Eastern countries. I am big on uh, Egyptian history, so I completely agree. I mean, it's amazing that they have 4 cats, so that house is like protected. I used to have 6, and cats roaming around in my house at once. So it's a huge drastic change from 6 to 2 and having a connection with a specific cat. So I completely get that, and I love that her cat kind of came to the rescue in a sense too, but also like was freaking out. So it was genuine. If the animals are freaking out and you're freaking out, it's genuine and it's something's happening. But yeah, and I know she said she parks. Wait, let me see this. She parks on the driveway and then she goes through the garage during the daytime. I wonder if she switched it around and went through the front door instead of the garage. But maybe they like bolted shut at night, and so the garage with like a keypad and stuff is easier. I don't know. I feel like OP should try a different direction on coming home at night, or having their partner set up an alarm and wake up, so when she pulls up to the door, I know 12 to 3 o'clock in the morning is a huge gap depending what OP's job is, and depending what he does too and what time he has to get up, I guess. But I feel like there's something that can be done to kind of just like ease her fear and really figure out what's going on. Cameras in the garage, I think that would be a good suggestion too. Just set up some cameras just to see what the heck's going on, what's following her. Um, I don't know, anything possible, honestly. And if it was stronger, I mean, she got home and it was between the cars in the garage, right? So, how fast was this thing moving that it was coming towards her between the cars? Where was it lurking around this house waiting for her? And between 12 and 3 a.m. in the morning, that's not good. Like 3ish is like the witching hour, so I don't know. 12 to 3 in the morning is cuckoo bananas for me. I'd be switching jobs. Hell no. That's all I gotta say on that one. But let me know what you guys think. What should OP do? I feel like this is something that could be baby steps solved for her um, in the meantime. But we'll see if we get any updates. I mean, let me check this though real quick. See if she has anything. Let's see. Oh, hold on. There's a comment here that OP put. Oh, here's a comment. Someone named Serial Killer Van asked, "Are you residing in the Navajo Nation? If not, that's not a skinwalker." And OP said, "I'm in the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains in Colorado." Okay, great. Love that. And then I realized, and then someone else asked, "Can you be more specific of the Front Range you are?" And they put west of Denver. So it all is coming together. This is a full circle moment. So I'm glad that I'm not the only person that's coming out of Colorado dealing with some paranormal shenanigans. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. OP, if you ever see this podcast, just know that I understand. And I understand your fear. Um, West of Denver, shoot, Lakewood was west of Denver, and Golden, and you got freaking Arvada. I mean, it could be any of those west of Denver. She could be in the mountains for all I know, like barely going into Morrison or something. I don't know, but crazy bananas. Freaking nuts. Oh my gosh. All right, you guys, that's all I got for you today. Oh, Colorado. Never disappoints on the paranormal. It really does not. Episode 23 will be coming out soon. Um, Prepare yourselves. It's it's good. It's good. There's a lot to talk about. Um, but yeah, that's my update. I'm going to go make a TikTok about my extra bit of plastic surgery tea. And if you want to know about it and whatnot, you can go follow me there. You know, the socials are at the end of this video. And as always, like, share, subscribe. Please send me your stories. The link is up. You can get the link on Instagram. You can find the link on this channel. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I was holding that in this whole time. So, bless me. Bless you out there, friends. And, yeah, I think that's it. Okay. Alright. Bye.